this video, we are going to review how to add and subtract decimals. So to add or subtract decimals, line up the decimals and the place values. All right, simple enough. Okay, so what if we had a situation like this? I want to add 2 3/10 plus 4 56 hundredths. So what I'm going to do is I am going to line up my numbers based off of the decimal place. So the decimal place is really going to anchor the location of the digits. So if I were to line it up based off of, let's say, the number here at the end of my number all the way to the right-hand side, I would see that my place values are going to be off. So always line it up by the decimal. So we have the first number, 2 3/10 plus 4 56 hundredths. Okay, so you're gonna see, first of all, that I don't have the same number of digits. So in order to alleviate that, you are going to put in an imaginary or a placeholder 0. And you probably can't see that very well in the yellow, so I'll put it in blue instead. There we go. There's our placeholder 0. And I use that just so I can keep track of those place values. So I'm going to put here placeholder 0. Okay, so now I'm just going to go ahead and add vertically, starting with my smallest place value. So 0 plus 6 is going to be 6. 3 plus 5 is 8. And then I bring my decimal point straight down. And then 4 plus 2 is 6. So my answer is 6 86 hundredths. All right, so my next problem, 18 3/100ths plus 987 thousandths. Okay, so I'm going to line up my numbers based on the location of the decimal point. So 18 3/100ths. And then I'm going to find, okay, there it is. There's my decimal point. So my decimal point has to be just below it. And I have 0 ones. And then I have 987 thousandths. Okay, now I'm going to put in a few placeholder zeros. So I'm going to put one here because that's a missing spot. And I'm going to put one here too, just to keep track of it. And again, you can't see the yellow. I don't know why I keep using yellow. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to add vertically. So how many thousandths do I have? 7 plus 0. Okay, that's going to be 7. And then I have 8 3/10. So 8 plus 3, that is going to be 11. Now I know I can't put 2 digits in one place, so I'm going to regroup. So that's 1 of my hundredths, and I'm going to regroup that one into my tenths column. So 9 and 1, that's going to be 10. Again, I can't put 2 digits in one column, so that would be 0 tenths, and I'm going to regroup across my decimal point. Notice how the carrying, it's the same thing regardless of if it's across the decimal point or not. And then 8 plus 1, that's going to be 9. And I need to bring down that decimal point. And then 1 plus 0 is going to be 1. So my answer is 19 17 thousandths. All right, now when you're subtracting decimals, you do the same thing. So let's go ahead and take our number and with subtraction, you know that you can't use the commutative property. So I need to make sure that my first number is the one that I put on top. So I'm going to do 4 56 hundredths. And I'm going to subtract that 2 3/10. I'm going to line up that decimal place, 2 3/10. And I'm going to put in that placeholder 0 to help me keep track of it. And I'm going to start with this top number and subtract the bottom one. Some mistake I see all the time is students will subtract the top number from the bottom number. And usually we do that when the bottom number is bigger. So just be really careful of that. So 6 minus 0 is 6. 5 minus 3 is going to be 2. And I bring down my decimal point. 4 minus 2 is 2. Okay, now let's go down to our last one. So 18 3/100 minus 987 thousandths. So again, I'm going to line up my numbers based off of the decimal point. 987. I'm going to put in some placeholder zeros. Well, I guess that was already there, but you get the idea. There we go. All right, so now I am going to subtract. Now, this is where I often see that mistake. A student will bring down a 7 there, but that's not what that means. It means 0 thousandths, and I'm taking away 7. Now, I can't take away 7 from nothing, so I need to regroup. So I'm going to go over to this hundredths column, and I'm going to take a grouping of 10 away from that, so that 3 becomes a 2, and I'm going to regroup it over here. So I now have a 10 thousandths, so 10 minus 7 thousandths is going to be 3. And I'm now going to subtract my next column, 2 minus 8. Again, can't do that, so I'm going to go over to my next column. Uh-oh, I don't have anything, so I'm going to go to my next column. So 8. I'm going to regroup. I'm going to take one of those ones away, so the 8 becomes 7, and I'm going to regroup that. That becomes 10 tenths. Okay, so now I have something that I can regroup from for my hundredths column. So I'm going to take away one of those, so that 10 becomes 9. So I took away one of those tenths. So 1 tenth is equivalent to 10 hundredths. So I now have 12 hundredths. So 12 minus 8, that's going to be 4. And now I have 9 minus 9, that is 0. And I bring down that decimal place. And now I have 7 minus 0, that's going to be 7. And 1 minus 0, and is going to be 1. So 17 43 thousandths. All right, that's it. That's reviewing, adding, and subtracting decimals.